Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm so sorry I'm late for the update. I know that I usually update once a week. However, I'm in school at the moment, and for those of you who aren't aware, I'm in school for aesthetics. So I am basically the person that you see before a dermatologist. I am, will be, and I'm in the process of being trained to basically spot and recognize any sort of skin disease or skin disorder and refer you accordingly, or if it's within my scope of practice, I can actually treat it myself. So this video is regarding nostalgia galore with the internet back in my day. Every time I say my day, I feel so old, but back in my day. YouTube has a funny way of taking you down some strange and interesting paths. I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, it definitely takes me down some weird paths. And I found myself on a video of a man trying to connect to AOL version 2.5 on his old 1996 chunky-ass Packard Bell computer. And the fact that he couldn't connect was triggering my nostalgia on such a hardcore level because it was so anticlimactic that I just needed to hear the sound of that dial-up modem. So this sent me on a quest. I needed to find somebody that managed to successfully connect to AOL, and I did with the dial-up modem, and it just, the sound of it brought back so many memories of the very first time that I used the internet. And behold, the glory and minor frustration of my youth. My family never had a computer in the house until about 1998, and we were incredibly late in getting involved in the game. I'm not sure why, but whenever I got to use the computer was at my aunt and uncle's house, also at my high school in the library, but it was incredibly restricted, so there wasn't really much that I could do. But I do remember going to my aunt and uncle's house, and it was usually during the holidays, it was during birthdays, so it was very rarely that I really got the opportunity to use it to its full capacity. So the very first time that I used it was, of course, my aunt and uncle's house, and it was about 1995 or 1996, and my aunt sat me in front of the computer and signed me onto her AOL account, and I was mystified from the start, and I had to be threatened out of that computer chair to even just go to dinner. I would have starved. So when I was shown the computer, I was signed on to America Online, and to me, since I wasn't familiar with the computer at all, America Online was the internet to me. So I was signed on a guest account, and I was like user 93645 or whatever, and I was introduced to chat rooms. And me being a very social person, I was just completely blown away at the fact that I could interact with people from basically all around the world. So whilst browsing the different chat rooms, I realized that you could type in anything that you're looking for, and me being a young little gothling, what did I do? First thing I type in, Gothic. There was a fucking chat room for Gothic. I double-clicked that chat room like my hand was being tased. And of course, my personality wasn't exactly shining through with like the name user 945 whatever. And there are people by the names of like the Other Adams and Hollow Hills and Glitter Goth, and here I am with my silly name, but it was interesting nonetheless. So I was able to lay out my street cred and let them know that I'm not some weird creepy old man with a fetish for girls in black. So while you're in the chat room, there's a little sidebar, and in the sidebar tells you all the names of the people that are in the chat room, and you can double click their name and up will pop their profile. There were no pictures or anything on the profile, but there were usually lyrics to some Bauhaus song or a quote from Dracula, but there was also the option to either email them or send them an instant message. And the chat room looked a little something like this. So if you're cool enough to receive an instant message, or as the cooler kids called it, an IM, you were basically in a one-on-one conversation with whoever was in the chat room, and you would probably end up being asked for a picture. And to me, this was a very alien concept. You could have a picture of yourself saved on your computer and then email it to the person upon request. What the hell was this magic? If you wanted a photo of yourself online, there was a massive process involved. Firstly, you needed a scanner. If you didn't have a scanner, you didn't have a photo of yourself online. There were no cell phones with cameras on them, and there were definitely no digital cameras. So you had to find somebody that actually had a camera if you didn't have one yourself, or go out and get one of those disposable ones because you needed film, actual film. So you found somebody to take a photo of yourself, and you better make it a good one or take multiples because you cannot look at the picture after it's been taken. If you happen to blink or look gormless, you wasted your money. One of the most important things is you wanted to make sure to get that ultimate Gothic picture that flash was on, because you wanted to be so washed out and white that your nose completely disappeared. Because once it looked like you didn't have a nose, your job was done. I'll give you an example of one of my photos. Now, granted, that picture was taken in 2004, but it followed the same unbelievably overexposed, high contrast template for a good few years, so you get the idea. And for those who didn't have a scanner, but they were determined, they would snail mail it to you. I'm talking the lost art of pen, paper, envelopes, and stamps. And some of them would get quite dramatic about it as well. They would use black envelopes and calligraphy, even aged parchment to write their letters on. And I remember I actually got a letter with a waxed seal of the person's initials embossed on it, so it was really quite something. And one really employing that method was somebody by the name of Tote Ogden. I believe his real name was Wolfgang. And I was 16 years old. He lived in Florida, and he really sent this beautiful letter, completely written in calligraphy, along with his picture, and this long blonde hair and black velvet cloak, unbelievably Gothic. And he was around my age, and also sent a lock of his hair, the ends trimmed off perfectly to get the dead ends off. But it was very cute and very sweet. I also got one, which was very, very basic, by somebody by the name of Crappy Poop. And on his profile, he said he stacked wieners in a bakery. I don't know why I remember that, but it just made me laugh. I was like, he stacks wieners in a bakery. But it was such a huge contrast between, the beautiful calligraphy and, someone by the name of Tote Ogden, which I think is dead eyes in German, and, is velvet, and then, Crappy Poop. I think about it now, and I'd never advise giving your address to somebody that you have no idea who it is on the internet. I mean, this person could have been a crazed lunatic that could have come to my house and slaughtered us all as we slept. So I highly recommend not doing that, but obviously back in the day I didn't really consider it, but I got off lucky. Something that I found incredibly interesting is what websites were cropping up a few years later. We had lagoth.net, sfgoth, New York City Goth, for example, and they were all basically websites for all the major cities that were designated to let you know about Gothic events that were going on, such as concerts, clubs, etc. So a lot of these sites were interactive with message boards, and people could upload their photos and have profiles there, kind of a meet and greet kind of thing. Except in New York City, which was really irritating because that's where I'm from. New York City Goth has not changed since its launch in 1998. To this day, there are still pages that say under construction or coming soon, and this is all due to a conflict of interests, aka fight. Welcome to New York. Now, at the time, obviously, it was unbelievably annoying, but looking at it now, it's sort of a relic since it remains in its original state. The photos of the clubs and stores that have all since closed and become either a Foot Locker or a frozen yogurt place. It's like taking a peek inside a time capsule, so I think it's definitely worth a look. I found myself on NYCGoth.com, and I started reading the text on the page, and I really found that it was quite poetic in its description of the goth scene. Now, granted, it's meant to describe the New York City goth scene. However, those of you who are there and not even in New York, I think you'll agree that it's pretty accurate. I will post a link of the description so that you can have a look for yourself, but I wanted to read you some excerpts, actually. Beneath the prickly skyline, beneath the flashing neon and corporate fluorescent shine, the city's covered in a blanket of centuries-old soot and decay. It's in the air, on the walls, on the streets, and in the subways, on the clothes and the food. It should be of no great surprise, it inevitably seeps into the souls of those who linger here. Those of us from Long Island, we call that city slime, and it sounds absolutely disgusting, but he's actually quite right. When my friends and we used to go into the city, be it to a club, shopping, or whatever, we would come home and immediately need to take a shower because we would be covered in a layer of what we would call city slime, and when you'd shower, it would come off and it was just black. I believe that you'll find this website to be an incredible resource, whether you're contemplating visiting the region or you're a local person looking for something new. You'll also find digital coupons and bargains for a diversity of essential vendors and institutions, fascinating documentation dealing with the music, region, and subculture that we love. None of that ever happened. This website sort of remained a template. And like I said, we had high hopes, but it never went anywhere. New York City is, by most standards, the home of the most energetic and creative Gothic industrial scenes in the United States. At the moment, there are several club events and interests for numerous merchants who relish folk like us as clientele. The internet outreach of the Gothic and industrial community This has been active since June 13th, 1995, in the form of a highly active mailing list, which remains a wing of this project. This particular website has been opened on Halloween of 1998. So like I said, it's been around for a while. So this really got me thinking. I thought we could do a bit of a roll call. Comment, tell us where you're from. If you have any info on any goth happenings in the area, get-togethers, clubs, anything, put it in the comments. Not only will this be a great way for you to find things that are going on in your area, it'll also be a great way for you to network and find other people to hang out with. Obviously, exercise reasonable caution when you're conversing with strangers and even going as far as to meet up. Safety should be at the forefront of all of your actions. If you're underage, oh my God, tell your parents. Please, no secrets, no lying, don't lie about your age, be as forthcoming as humanly possible. Obviously, the worst possible thing that can happen to you is you get killed. In addition to that, I also don't need you coming home with half your head shaved and a bat tattooed in its place, and you telling your parents that Angela Benedict made you do it. There are so many of you dotted around the globe reaching out for like-minded individuals, so here we are. Go ahead. Make yourself known. I'm going to be watching as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.